Hey, see, got an addition to the opening titles now. We have. Oh, we try that again. Drew, your microphone's still muted for some reason.
Try that.
Try that. What did you do? You pressed the
I unmuted it.
Right, let's start again. I said we've got a new addition to the opening titles there. If you saw it, you've ruined it now.
Yeah, I missed it anyway because I was distracted. I was looking elsewhere. I was going, oh, is he going to get it right this week? Is he going to get it right this week?
Well, I got it right, but you turned your microphone on anyway.
I wasn't paying attention, so
you weren't paying attention. No.
What can I say? What can I say? It's just that is just symptomatic of my January to date. So. Symptomatic being a very good word.
It's a very good word, actually.
Yeah.
Anyway, how the Charles Dickens are you?
Not well. It's the short answer. Better than I have been, but basically, I've been getting blood tests and X-rays and stuff this week because since my COVID incident at the end of October, I just haven't rallied, and I've been very, very ill several times. It culminated in me being sent home from work the other week. They just said, "Get out, go home, go home and see a doctor." So I've ended up with nasal steroid sprays to try and clear the congestion, which has worked brilliantly. And then blood tests all appear fine. Waiting for the results of the X-rays, but otherwise it's just okay. I think it's just. I think it is what they call long COVID, or the 100-day cough sort of thing. I've been ill in various ways. I had a pretty dodgy sort of December and before Christmas. And January has been pretty terrible up until the last week or so, and which is why I've been not here because I just basically I've been in bed at sort of 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock every evening. But I'm feeling a lot better now. So hopefully we're on the backside of it and getting better. So
I know the feeling because obviously when I had my first bout of COVID year before last, when my health dropped off. My first thought was, and this is the thought of all the doctors, was it's long COVID, and as we now know, it wasn't. But
it decidedly wasn't. But no, I mean, I think it's just there's an awful lot of this 100-day cough thing going around at the moment, and I think it's just a long recovery period. Cough is the main thing. It's just 3 or 4 times a day you end up coughing for about an hour just non-stop.
Horrible, isn't it? And it probably
in fact, a lot of people are saying now, a lot of people are being diagnosed with whooping cough. So whether I'm not sure it's that, and most of the congestion, most of the sort of, I don't think it's a chest infection. I think it's all upper respiratory tract problems. But we'll see what happens. But finally, I felt good enough when you said the other day you coming on Sunday. I felt like I can probably, we're back in the land of the living sort of thing. It's been an unpleasant January for me, put it that way.
Yeah, well, you're certainly back in the world of modelling because you've been doing your Armour P39, haven't you?
Yes, yeah, that's coming. Oh, let's have a look. Good Lord, it's all going wrong.
Has he got his camera set up? Do you want me to beat you out? There we go.
There we go.
There we go.
Fortunately, my hotkeys seem to have disappeared on me. So
Your hotkeys have gone cold.
Yeah, they actually do appear to have very much done so. So
There we go.
I will just keep a little. I'll just keep that in the corner of the screen. But yeah, this is a little Armour P39 I've been working on for the last couple of weeks. Again, I intended this to be quite a quick build, and then your kind of health, life dictates otherwise. So, but yeah, it's isn't it a fabulous little aeroplane?
Yep.
And it's fabulous. Well, I'm coming around to the idea that I mean, because I gave it a full rivet job, which you probably can't see on this, but it's there anyway. And I think ultimately it was probably worth it. But most of the decals are on now, so hopefully another few days will see us through to completion. And there's sort of a big box of bits and bobs in there, painted up and ready to go. But yeah, I mean it's typical modern armour kit. It's 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 pricey but fabulous. So yeah, that's what we've been. And sort of over Christmas, we discussed this last time, didn't we? The
Vigilante, yeah,
the Vigilante, which kind of took on a life of its own from me sort of retrieving this broken down old box full of bits and then sort of getting a bit obsessed with it, really. And it's about 99% finished. There's a couple of little bits of varnishing I need to do yet, but I think it's come out all right ultimately.
Do you know what? There is something about US Navy planes with black radomes. I just think they look.
Well, I had a ZOTS decal sheet, and most of the options on it were radome tan, and one of them was black. And there is just that the black nose cone on a US Navy aircraft always looks cool, doesn't it? So
it does, yeah.
That kind of drove my choice of scheme more than anything else, was the fact that the nose cone was black. But yeah, so I ended up. I'm not sure if we discussed it last time. I did my own 3D printed intake trunks for it and engine faces. All the wheels were designed and 3D printed for it by me. And at some point during the construction, I lost one of these outer flap sections and I could not find it anywhere. So ultimately I ended up going back to the Fusion 360 and designing and printing 3D printed replacements for the flaps as well. Just so I could, because otherwise the model would never get finished because the bits were missing. So yeah, it turned out to be a bit more involved than and there's a Master Models
Pito
on it. And yeah, it just ended up being a bit more of an involved build than I was perhaps expecting. But I'm really quite happy with it. It's come out pretty nicely in the end. It's just such a fabulous looking aeroplane, isn't it?
Oh, I still can't believe something that big landed on carriers. It just seems bizarre, doesn't it?
Yeah. And I'd always thought it had a bit of a spindly nose undercarriage, and then you sort of build it, and then you realise that although it's it looks like an old-fashioned nose undercarriage, it's actually a serious unit. The whole aircraft is. So I mean, I would really like somebody to do an A5A, the bomber variant, the really, really slick bomber variant of this, because it's really a bit too difficult to, very difficult conversion from this, really. But yeah, that's the trumpeter that was going to be scrapped, was going to be thrown in the bin, and I ended up turning it into actually building it. So it's
good for you, good man.
But yeah, I mean the thing was that was literally pecking away at that an hour and a bit every couple of days all the way through December, and then I finished it a couple of weeks ago. As far as there's still, like I say, one or two little bits to go. But yeah, I mean, Rory said there, do you get the option to fold the wings and tail? Yes, you do, which is phenomenally irritating. Which made portraying it in its true state difficult. Which is why the first one I attempted 20 years ago ended up being scrapped, because it was a really dodgy fit of everything. And this time I just had to sit down with it and work through it. And actually everything, let's say, I mean, the tail there is the folding tail has all been sort of filled and rescribed and stuff. So and reshaped at the top. So yeah, it does come with all those options for folding wings and tail. I'd just rather it had cut marks inside, so you could cut it to do that rather than having stupid separate parts that just make it a pain to build.
Got that off your chest now.
Well, somebody asked and I answered.
I'm just gonna say your P39 reminds me of kit I had. Oh God, 40 odd years ago. Yeah. I actually had this the 3-in-1 collector's choice Aero Cobra, and I always liked the shark mouth one and the RNF.
Well, the thing is, it's like, and this kit does come. The options are there's 3 different shark mouths with it. So there's 3 different shark mouths, including, I mean, this one up here is the classic shark mouth on the P400, isn't it? And I always remember there was one, and I want to do one, Makushla, the aircraft was called. But yeah, in about 1983, when the Eschi decals were doing the rounds, and they did a P39 sheet. And there was a few options for these aircraft, these P400s in Papua New Guinea on there, and I built 3 or 4 of them on the trot actually, and I'd like to reprise that with this kit, because that's another famous one, sort of walleye stroke pat, but with a slightly different shark mouth. But I really like I like that classic shark mouth that the P400s wore, so there'll be more of these in my future, hopefully.
Excellent.
So, yeah, but yeah, I mean, like I say, these kits, there's no 2 ways about it. A lot of the stuff coming from Eastern Europe now is quite pricey, but is it worth it? Well, I've had 2 weeks from it, so yeah, probably is.
Yep.
You're looking at the pounds per hour of entertainment. It's still value, isn't it?
Talking of pounds per hour entertainment, shall we? We got some new kit news to talk about here. So we're going to plough straight on with Qatari. They followed up their Spitfire Mark 1 with, no surprise, a 109.
Yes, please.
Solid choice, isn't it?
I mainly build 72nd, 48th, and a little bit 144th, and I've always steered away from the larger scales. But this sort of thing is making it very difficult. In fact, it's not making it very difficult. The decision is made. I will be having one of these because I've always really loved the K4. So having one that, looking at the Spitfire, now I couldn't get excited about the Spitfire. Personal thing, I'm not really excited by early model Spitfires. That's just me. But looking at the execution of the model, the simplicity but the precision makes me really look forward to this, because it'll be a really fun, quick build, I think, and a nice scale, and it's my favorite 109 variant, the K4. So yeah, you're never going to go wrong with a 109, are you?
I was just going to say, you know, there would have been the chorus of, "Oh no, not another 109."
But we have this discussion every single time, don't we? There are 3, possibly 4 subjects.
Yep.
You will never ever catch a cold on, and that is a Spitfire, a 109, a 190, and arguably the Mustang.
I was just going to say the Mustang. Yep.
Any of those, you will never ever catch a cold on.
Absolutely,
that.
absolutely.
It's basically impossible to catch a cold on those 4 subjects.
Also, I was just doing the write-up for Model Airplane International for the op-ed column, and I was mentioning these kits, and I went back to see who last did 109 K4s in 32nd scale, and that would have been Hasegawa 21 years ago,
Yes.
and Revell 15 years ago.
Did
So
Revell do a K4 in 32nd?
they did, apparently, according to Scalemates, they did. Bear with me a sec. I just need to nothing like doing it on the fly, but I'm sure I saw it. Yes. Here we go. Earn a memento, per favor. It may actually have been a reboxed Hasegawa kit, but present, share screen. There we go.
Revell was a remixed Hasegawa K4.
That one, yeah, that was the
Great,
what was that?
great.
Was that the Hasegawa kit?
Yeah.
Yeah, but there you go then. So the only one we've had has been the Hasegawa kit. I think Trumpeter may have done one, but
yeah. So moving right along.
Yeah, moving along. Yeah. So
I thought I kind of had it in the back of my mind that Zukimura were doing one, but I don't know. But my point there would be a Zukimura one is going to be, inherently far more complicated than than what Qatari have shown us so far. So yeah, I mean, this was one where I was.
There we go. So I didn't know whether that came up on screen or not. So there we go. Yeah. There's the Revell 109 K4. There we go. I
was kind of sort of preparing for Qatari to announce either a Hurricane or a 109E, something like that. So a K4 was actually quite a yes, please, thank you very much. So yeah, that is one that will almost certainly not only get my money, but will get me building very, very quickly,
and get you building 32nd scale as well.
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing is, behind me, I've still haven't started the Edouard K4 that was only released sort of 4 or 5 months ago, and I must get on and build that at some point, because I've got a few. We all know I've built a fair few of those Edouard 109s.
Mm-hmm.
I was building them solid for about a year, wasn't I?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm a fan. I'm good on them, and they've proven, they are more than up to the challenge with the Spitfires. My lack of owning a Spitfire is one of those Spitfires. It's just a personal choice on the subject.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a reflection on them.
No.
Whereas buying this is the same. It's not a reflection on them. It's a reflection of the subject. But I know it's going to be good. So.
Yep. Next, Italeri. They've previewed some of their 2024 stuff, so we'll dive straight in with. They're doing the Lancia Stratos HF GR4. They've got it down as 100% new molds.
That's interesting, isn't it? 1/12 scale. That'll be a big boy.
Well, not only that, but also I'm looking at this and I'm thinking that even though I'm not a car modeler, this does offer you the ability to weather the heck out of it. I think so. Best way of putting it.
It's a fantastic looking vehicle, isn't it?
It is. It is.
That was just I don't build cars, so it wouldn't be something I'd be building. But I mean, it's got an Alitalia scheme, which I think is one of the finest schemes an airliner ever wore. So anything else that wears it is going to be good as well. And it's just a beast, isn't it?
How can Italeri go wrong? An Italian car in Italian markings from an Italian kit company. They're just turn the machine on, print the money, essentially. Similarly, but in 1/32 scale, they have announced a Mackie C200.
Great choice. Great choice.
That to Italeri, that's like Airfix doing more Spitfires and Hurricanes, isn't it? It's
in point of fact, John, it's a brave choice, because it's although it is Italeri's sort of home team subject, it's not necessarily an obvious one. It's still going to be it's still one of those subjects that will rely on the Spitfires and 109s to make it justifiable.
Okay,
You know?
to me, it's the epitome of the Italian fighter aircraft during
Oh,
the Second
absolutely.
World
No, I
War.
mean, I'm not arguing that. I'm saying, you know, as a subject, you know,
Mm,
Italian World War II aircraft are still arguably a little bit more niche than
hmm
Spitfires and 109s. You know,
hmm
that doesn't mean that's not a fabulous choice of subject that I will, you know, we will undoubtedly see some stellar builds of.
But are we saying that from the perspective? Are we saying that from a non-Italian perspective? This is, you know, we're looking at it from a slightly British-centric point of view. I don't know. I just think like I say, I just think Italeri can't go wrong with this. There's not really anything out there to compete with it. Didn't Pacific Coast Models do a C200 or something like that?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think possibly. The thing is that all this Pacific Coast stuff is so long ago now, isn't it?
yeah,
Um,
exactly, exactly.
you but no, I think it's you know, it's a fantastic choice of subject.
Color schemes, how many can you throw at it?
It's just there's
Run and run and run, and not a particularly big aeroplane either. So
no, a very small aeroplane.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, what a great subject choice.
Absolutely. Next, and Italeri are doing F-35Cs in 72nd scale,
The
and
72nd was announced last year, wasn't it? It just
yeah,
hasn't turned up yet.
yeah,
Um,
and they've just announced one in 48 scale as well.
yeah.
To me, now you know my feelings on the F-35, and I know your feelings about airplanes with folded wings and things, but to me, this is the interesting version. This just has a bit of character to it.
Oh yeah, it's my favourite variant, and it's a variant. I will die on the hill that this is the variant that the Fleet
Royal
Air
Navy, yeah,
you know,
should have bought.
we should have had proper aircraft carriers and not glorified helicopter carriers, and you know, proper aeroplanes on them. But
I'm hoping one of these wends its way onto my workbench this year. I'm hoping Mr. Farmer, when he's not enticing me into the fire escape trade, will pick up the phone and say, we need one of these built, because I tell you what, I'd quite happily make a 72nd scale F-35C with folded wings, and I'd do it just to annoy you as well. So there we go.
Well, I'll do the 48th one then. That's fine.
Yeah, exactly. There we go.
So, I mean, the thing is, I you know, I built the 148th F-35B, the Italeri one, and I remember talking about it on here and saying it's a great model. It's a great model. The only problem with that is that, you know, less than a year later, you know, Tamiya came along with one, which is, you know, which I also built.
Which was at Telford last year, wasn't it?
Sorry?
It was at Telford last year, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Yes, it was.
Yeah,
yes.
which, you know, I also built. So I've built both of the most recent F-35Bs,
Yeah.
and they're both really, really decent kits. It's just that, you know, Tamiya is Tamiya, isn't it? It's, you know, so, but nobody else does a 48 scale F-35C yet. So I'm on board. And there's only one F-35C in 72nd, and that's pretty dodgy and not easy to get hold of. So yeah, I do, you know.
To me, the F-35C is not only the more interesting variant in terms of, you know, things you can do with it, fold the wings mostly, but also I'm just saying that to annoy you, mate. It's also the one that seems to have the most colourful schemes at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. In fact, there's been some even more colourful schemes in the last couple of weeks. Come out. And it's also the one, as Dave Fleming says there, when they were on during their first cruise, some of them actually seemed to get rusty. The paint actually seemed to oxidize and turn, you know, they went brown on top, which was a really odd effect. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely my favorite F-35 variant. So, I mean, Pavel there says, now the question is get it or wait for the Tamiya one. The thing is, I've got absolutely no, I've got no illusions at the moment that Tamiya are going to do an F-35C. I hope they do, but it's really the red-headed stepchild of the family, isn't it? You know, it's got one user, well, two users, US Navy and US Marines, and nobody else. So it's kind of still a bit of a limited. So I'm kind of, I wouldn't expect a Tamiya one this year.
Tamiya, you know, let me word this carefully. They can sometimes they've had a run of F-35s recently, haven't they? It's just been like one after the other, bang, 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 and then so we're all sitting there thinking, so well, having seen them follow up F-35As and Bs, it's a no-brainer that they're going to do a C. 5 years later, we'll be sitting there going, why didn't they do a C?
Yeah, like a 48 scale F-16D.
Yep. But we're not saying I'm not saying they're not going to do a C. So we'll.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying they're not going to do it. I'm just, you know, with Tamiya, I never take anything for granted until there's an announcement. Yeah, because you never know what they're going to do. You know, it's just as likely that they'll announce a new 148 scale Eagle or something like that. You know, and completely sort of blindside everybody.
We won't find that out until May, will we? Because that's when the Japanese toy fairs happen. So May, June, somewhere late spring.
Andy
anyway.
King there says, "Good luck building the F-35." Which one, Andy? Because I built the F-35, the 48 scale B, and had no problems with it at all. So
there we go. He says, went into the box of shame due to the poor fit of parts. I wasn't impressed at all. Sorry. Okay.
You know, we pretty much covered my build of the F-35B on here week by week as it went on, and I don't the 72nd F-35A. Yeah, that's not a great model.
No, that's the old one, isn't it?
Yeah, that's you know, the Italeri's F-35A in 72nd was their first run at a proper F-35.
Yeah.
They did the 32nd one about the same time, didn't they?
Yeah,
and not great kits. No, not great kits. But they've rapidly improved, and you know, with each iteration. So sort of ironically, I would suspect that the least popular F-35 variant will ironically turn out to be their best representation of an F-35 because they've improved with each iteration. Now they're kind of just cleaning up, if you like, you know, cleaning up the loose ends, and it'll, you know, there's every chance it'll be the best.
Let's plow on, because we've got Italeri have also announced the Semovente M43 105/25. You've
got a thing about Semoventes, haven't you?
Do you know what? Ish. Because obviously I built the other one 2-3 years ago. I'm just trying to remember. Blah blah blah. No, I can't remember when it was. It was about 2021 or something. Anyway, the M43, also known as the Semovente 105/25. I'm stolen this from Wikipedia. Was an Italian self-propelled gun used during World War II and designed by Ansaldo. It was the most powerful self-propelled gun built by Italy in numbers during World War II. 121 built, 30 before the armistice, and 91 afterwards. Now, I did see a photograph of this next to the I'm going to say M13. I'm going to embarrass myself, but next to the standard version, and yeah, it's much lower, but goodness me, it's wider. And but what a fabulous looking vehicle. Yeah, fingers crossed. Again, I'm hoping this will work its way across my workbench at some stage this year. So
it's quite German looking, isn't it?
Yes. But I wouldn't be surprised if they included kind of, you know, upgunned, remarked versions in the kit. Anyway, right. We're going to play a little bit of catch up with ICM because, they've released some CAD renders of the 24. And it just does look lovely. We're just going to whiz through these because this was announced last year, but understandably, you can understand
stuff happens at the moment.
things from a Ukrainian kit company being slightly delayed. But do you know what?
Lord, I want this.
Yes,
Oh.
and also, if you remember how insanely detailed the Monogram kit was in terms of internal detail, then there was the AMT kit from the late 70s, which, believe it or not, actually had even more detail inside.
Yeah, it's we had this discussion on here,
Yeah,
didn't we?
yeah,
But I do love the Marauder.
yeah, it's a fabulous looking aeroplane.
Fantastic looking aeroplane.
Yeah.
It really, really is.
Yeah.
You know.
So fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. We'll see this year, and hopefully it will form the start of a
just
whole
a great piece of box art as well, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely,
absolutely. And they've also announced they're doing that as a flak bait this year as well, haven't they?
Excellent. Well done.
So they're doing flak bait boxing. They're doing a boxing with various ground crew and stuff. And I'm hoping that they'll do a G at some point as well, which would just need a new pair of fuselage halves essentially to do a G, which would round out the major production variants, if you like, the BC and then the G, are the three main production variants. So that would kind of round that out. But this is long overdue, and knowing ICM and the way they approach stuff, I wouldn't be surprised to see 72nd ones in due course either.
That would be nice. The Hasegawa ones are what? They're about come up to nearly 30 years old now?
No, 20. 20,
okay.
21, 22. Yeah, it's about 2002, 2003. I mean, I've got a bunch of them in the other. I've got two each of the BC models from the Hobby 2000 boxing, and I've got one of the G boxings as well. And I mean, that's a fantastic model, but it's difficult to find now.
Yeah, I was going to say, and if you do find them, they tend to be a little bit pricey as well. So
I have to say, the when Hobby 2000 reboxed the B26B/C, their boxings were only about 30 quid a piece.
Okay.
And that included full kabuki masks and cartograph decals. So you know, it was available for reasonable money as a rebox. But yeah, it's overall it's quite, Japanese stuff is getting tricky to get hold of. Just the way that these markets have gone, and the Europeans, and specifically the Ukrainians, and it seems the Poles are stepping into the breach.
Absolutely,
in style.
Yeah, absolutely. Talking of style, oh my goodness me, it's the Lafley V15 all over again, or whatever it was. That I've fallen in love with this, and
that is absolutely horrendously ugly. I'm in.
Yeah, I'm in. I'll tell you a bit about it. Stolen from Wikipedia yet again. And the Ford GTB, commonly known as the Burma Jeep, was an 1.5 ton 4x4 truck produced during World War II by Ford, and was primarily used by the United States military, US Navy and Marine Corps. The GTB was used in the Pacific Theatre during World War II, with many being used on the Burma Road. But oh my goodness me, up until a day or two ago, it was a subject which I'd probably come across in the past, but never really kind of flashed up.
I would be honest, that's the first time I've ever seen that, and that is a CB one there, isn't it? That's That's it. But what in particular, I like that color scheme on that vehicle.
Yeah,
I like that grey on that vehicle.
Yeah.
So
suffice to say, ladies and gentlemen, I think I might be building one of these this year. So at Mr. Hill's Antics in Bristol, as soon as you get one of these in, put my name down for it. So
I could see myself building one of those.
Excellent. Well, perhaps we'll do the Burma Jeep challenge. There we go. Also from ICM, following up from their 35th scale kit. This is down for 2025, but amazingly, the only other kit there's ever been of this in 72nd scale was the Revell kit from 1968. I think
there was a Lindbergh one as well.
Oh yeah. Well, so the only
moving right along.
Moving along, yeah.
But yeah, it's I know that because there was talk that they were going to do it in 48 scale, which is they still haven't formally announced that. So dropping straight back to 72nd was a bit of a surprise. But once again, dear ICM, I'm in.
Yep.
It's just, you know, it's a long overdue subject.
Yep. Absolutely.
It's a long overdue subject, and I really look forward to this.
Yep.
But there's a long wait yet, so don't.
Yeah, absolutely. In 32nd scale, again, they announced this last year.
Just give me a break.
give your debit card a break, really.
Give me a break. It's the ICM. You're relentless.
Yeah, absolutely. This was announced last year. But it's still on the cards for this year. What a fabulous! I just love the Henschel 123.
I'd say it's such a great subject, isn't it? It's
absolutely
such an attractive aeroplane. It's kind of like it's it's a lightweight Stuka. It was a dive bomber, close support aircraft, and it saw a lot. It actually saw a lot of service pretty much throughout the war on the Eastern Front.
Yep.
Because it was a really decent attack aircraft.
It was quite sturdy as well. So
yes. Well, if you look at that, there's barely any rigging at all on that, which is for a biplane is might actually attract some people to biplanes.
I was just going to say, for modelers, that's probably probably a plus point.
I would
colour schemes. Goodness me, how many colour schemes do you want for these?
I believe this is a fabric wing, and the later ones were metal wings. So I don't know if ICM have got plans, because it'd be nice to do a one of the Eastern Front ones in dark green, black green as well. But I do love the pre-war camouflage scheme. But yeah, I mean, 32nd scale again. It's going to be not a massive model by any stretch of the imagination. It's about the same dimensions as a Gladiator, just a bit more chunky, isn't it?
Yep. Talking of small, talking of small aeroplanes.
Give me a break.
Now, do you, sorry, I'm suddenly going to go a bit Michael Caine now. Do you know what? The only kits, I do believe, that have been done of the Henschel 129 were the Eshi kit from the late 1970s.
Yep.
And then the Hasegawa kit from the very late 1990s. I believe it was
just in the other room there, I've got a Hobby 2000 reboxing of the Hasegawa kit.
Yeah.
Which is, it's a nice kit, but, it's just, like I say, they're just relentless, aren't they? And I think that they've already done the Henschel 126, haven't they?
Yes, they've done the parasol.
So they've done the 123, the 126, and now the 129.
Yeah. It's an incredibly small aeroplane for a twin-engine kind of bomber.
Well, each of those engines was only about 695 horsepower, something like that. They were little French Gnome Rhone engines, weren't they?
Yeah. I think anybody expecting this to be kind of Mosquito or Beaufighter sized is going to be in for a surprise, because it's not. It's
about Tempest size. It's about
tiny little thing.
But yeah, it's a subject again. Ever since I was a kid and I first got the Airfix kit with a big 75 millimeter cannon, it's an aircraft that's always intrigued me. And in fact, there was a very nice book printed a couple of years ago. It was about £60. I ended up ordering it because I just liked the 129 so much, and I wanted a complete history of it. Yes, please. Again, this is ICM are announcing a lot of their 2025 stuff. So you've got a bit of a time to wait, but yes, please.
More power to them. And we've also got a pair of Black Hawks coming from them in
Lord alive
48 scale and 35th scale. So they are doing the L model, the MH60L model in 48 scale, and the MH60A in 35th. Even in 172nd scale, these are a big old lump, aren't they?
Yeah, it's not a small helicopter, but I have to say, brand new state of the art toolings in 48th, in 72nd, 48th, 35th, or 32nd, whichever, are pretty overdue.
Mm-hmm.
It hasn't been as well served as you'd like to think something, this mass produced and used is. So, I think that there's a ready spot on the market for these. But Andy King there says MH16 Euro 1, but they were earlier variants, weren't they? They were MH60Gs and stuff, which require the US Air Force variants, which will require quite a few changes. But yeah, I mean, just doing a the UH60A or UH60L, I think they're doing, is just hugely important, because the vast majority of Black Hawks produced are basic utility variants. So yeah, I'm this is another great release from ICM. They're really tapping the market.
They are. And also, final one from ICM tonight, which this has piqued my interest, because I've really got to I've really got to build one of these, simply because my late uncle was a massive car modeler. And when I see things like this, I just remember my uncle Roger building stuff like this, and I wanted to join in. This is the Ford Model A. How do you pronounce that? Is it Phaeton?
Yeah,
Phaeton, soft top. This again was originally announced in 2023. And there have been several kits of the Model A down the years, starting with Monogram in 1961, but there hasn't been an all-new kit in decades. A little bit of background is the production of the Model A, all variants, ran from October 1927 to March 1932. 4,858,644 were made. So I think we can put that down as a success story, really.
Yeah, a minor sales success.
A minor sales success. So I'm going to keep my eye out for this, because I've been promising myself for ages that I was going to build one of ICM's cars. I like the look of this one, and like I say, it would be nice to kind of tip the wink to my late uncle, who was always making car models. So there we go.
Time for that Bonnie and Clyde diorama.
Time for that one, indeed. In fact, they do figures for this era. So, in fact, folks, the ICM catalogue is available to download. Let me just go and find it.
Yeah, I was looking through the PDF, the downloaded PDF last night, and wow, that company are just.
Yep, here we go, folks. I'm just calling up the 2024 catalogue. Talk amongst yourselves for a moment whilst I try and bring it. All right, okay, I've just found it. Bear with. We're going to get that made up into a T-shirt this year. Oh, for goodness sake, come on. No, I've lost it. I've got it up on screen here, but I can't actually open it up as the catalogue at the moment. This is great broadcasting, isn't it?
As somebody says, ICM also doing a 35th scale Humvee this year in several variants.
Oh right, okay. I missed that.
New Humvee, which again just. Is doing sterling work again in Ukraine at the moment, so they've received an awful lot of those. And there's
long story short, if you go to our Facebook page, you can find the link to the ICM catalogue on there. So well worth a perusal. Right, we've just skirting past 8:15. So shall we end tonight with the home team? Now, Drew, I'm going to let you lead on this, because obviously I'm slightly kind of Slightly biased on this one, but there we go. Airfix.
Let's just say 3 announcements this year, and yes, please.
So far, let's put it that way.
Yeah, so far. This one was completely out of the blue. This is a truly brilliantly kept secret, isn't it? I had no idea. And it's long overdue for replacement in the range. And bearing in mind, I mean, I keep going back to, for me, my reference point now for Airfix is the Messerschmitt 410. It's, it became an entirely new reference point for me when I got my hands on it. And so a new Liberator to the quality of that Messerschmitt 410 will just be, yes. The problem is, John, there's so much that I can see and I immediately want to build this year. I just literally, there's not enough days in the year to get it all. But this is one I would like to build. I would like to make a point of building ASAP when it's released. I've always preferred the B-24 to the B-17. I've always thought it's a better looking aeroplane. And this is an H, which is, excuse me, sort of the between the D and the J, if you like. So it had full nose turrets and stuff. A little bit more of an interim variant, but one that was used from the UK an awful lot. I think Corky is a well-known aircraft as well, isn't it? It's from the box art there. Looking at the Airfix workbench on it, it's got a separate nose along a.
What can that mean?
What does that mean? Well, that means they've sort of they're sort of taking options into account, aren't they? So there could be a D, or I think it's probably, if I'm honest, I would suspect it's very much more likely there will be a J afterwards.
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I
would suspect there'll be at least a J, and with a separate nose, possibly a D at some point. But with the way it's been broken down, they've left themselves the options should they want to do them.
It's been intelligently broken down. Let's put it that way.
And like I say, given the quality of the Messerschmitt 410 and the quality of the plastic, especially, I'm really excited about this release. It's I think it's £47, £46.99. I think that's I've paid more than almost that much this week for a 72nd scale MiG-23. So
I was going to say, what are your alternatives? The Academy kit from 30 years ago. Nice kit.
30 years old, but it's all chest detail. It's a bit simplified. There's one or two sort of issues with it, if you like. But Academy are re-releasing that at the moment, aren't they, in various boxings?
Or the Hasegawa kit,
and the Hasegawa kit from the early 2000s, which again I've got one B-24J next door, which I managed to get from Japan a couple of years ago. But again, it's been released several GR boxings through Edouard, RAF and Czech boxings of it through Edouard. But again, it's just difficult to get hold of now. It's just difficult
and pricey.
Yeah, I mean, I think I paid about in the end I paid about £23-24 for mine from Japan, but then you've got to add another 10 or 15 on top of that for postage and stuff from Japan. So probably there wasn't much in it, and I suspect that the Airfix kit will be a detail step up. It's quite surprising that we can say that about Airfix kits these days, isn't it?
Next, right, I can definitely see one of these on your radar, Mr. Manton.
Yeah, well, I mean, why wouldn't you? It's it's been 40 years in the making, hasn't it?
It has. Right. Well, to explain to people, this is actually a grab from the Airfix catalogue in 1984, 40 years ago, or the Orwellian future, as we tended to think of it. And this appeared in their 1984 modeller's manual, it was described as. And there were a number of things they announced at the time. I think the other one was, do you remember the Agile Combat Aircraft?
The ACA was announced at the same time.
Yeah. And also, right, for those who don't know, the Agile Combat Aircraft was a proof of concept. It was like a twin-finned Eurofighter, wasn't it?
Well, it was a precursor to the EAP, which sort of led directly onto the EFA, which became the Eurofighter 2000, which became Typhoon.
So, but also in the modeler's manual there was the Chinook, there was the ACA Agile Combat Aircraft, and there was the Jules Verne Nautilus from the Disney 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Anyway, suffice to say, the kit never happened. We did eventually get a 72nd scale about 3 or 4 years later from Matchbox. And then we finally did get a Chinook from Airfix, albeit about 15 years ago, reboxed Italeri kits. So there we go. We're finally getting an indigenous Airfix Chinook.
Yeah. The Chinook, I don't think the Chinook's ever really been done well in any scale, like as a buildable model. It's always been quite a fussy. They've all seemed like quite fussy models to me. So hopefully Airfix can make this a reasonably intuitive and simple build. But I mean, again, it's Bravo November, so you know you're in at the ground floor of probably the most famous single helicopter ever. Is Bravo November, isn't it?
Explain to those not germane with the story of Bravo November for us.
Well, Bravo November was the only Chinook which survived from the Atlantic conveyor in 1982 when she was hit by Exocet, and all the other aircraft were destroyed. But they managed to get this aircraft, ZA 718, off beforehand, Bravo November, and she served all through the Falklands conflict, ferrying stuff around. At one point, she had an Argentinian Chinook front door as well, because they were flying at low level over a lake, I think it was, and somebody pulled the wrong handle and ejected one of the cockpit doors. But they had a spare from one of the Argentinian Chinooks that were on the Falklands, so they fitted that. So for a while, she was flying with an olive drab door. On the front. At one point, I think they got 100 and something, 82 paratroops on it at one point, which is supposed to carry about 25. But yeah, she worked very, very hard. I think it was a Distinguished Flying Cross that one of the pilots got for that, that aircraft, flying that aircraft. And then she went on to fly later in the Gulf War, in Operation Granby, and then eventually she ended up flying in Iraq in 2003 during Telik. Was it Telik? Yeah, Operation Telik.
Yeah.
And then finally she did a couple of tours of Afghanistan as, I think, in HC2. She was upgraded to HC2. And she has earned, pilots flying it have earned a total of 3 Distinguished Flying Crosses in 3 different conflicts, flying Bravo November. And she's now been retired to, is it Cosford? She's at Cosford, I think. Yep. So she was finally retired to Cosford about 3 or 4 years ago. I think she's paid her way.
I think as a helicopter, done sterling service for Queen and country. That's
she's a bit like Trigger's broom,
Yeah.
In the format she was retired in was extremely different to the format she was taken into service in. But still, at heart, Bravo November. And it makes me very, very happy that she survived long enough to get to retirement and be, shifted off to a museum. But probably the most famous single helicopter ever.
Absolutely. We got. We're just going to rattle through the last of the Airfix releases. Wow. Exactly. Nice to have another RNLI lifeboat. As you know, Drew, it's an organisation that I am a big supporter of. and I've been a member for years. And
well, I make a monthly direct debit donation to the RNLI.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, Shannon class lifeboat. I built the 7 class. Goodness me, I'm trying to remember. I built the 7 class one when it came out
2008,
15 years ago.
I think that 2008, 2009 rings a bell.
Yeah, there's 2000 and it was 2007 because Hornby got it up and running. It was one of the last projects that Humbrol worked on. But anyway, there we go. So we're getting a Shannon class lifeboat. Shall suffice to say that the possibility that we might do an in-depth build on the interesting modelling company there is a possibility of that, and I will say this isn't one I'm working on, so I can come in at this one fresh. So there we go. But also, right, you know, we've already established that we've got more kits than we're going to have time to build this year, Drew.
Yes.
Yeah. There we go.
Lordy. Right. First off, I don't build biplanes. Second off, I don't build pre-war biplanes. Third off, I don't build pre-war. Fourth off, I'm in.
You're in.
Just what a fabulous subject choice. You know, I know you can't draw any sort of conclusions or predictions, but one would hope it's the start of something.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
It
would be nice.
After this, Fury or a Siskin, please.
Yeah.
But just everything about that just says yes, please. I very much look forward to getting my hands on it.
Obviously,
whether I'll build it immediately or not is a different matter because of stuff.
Because you've got all these other kits you got.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that I'll have a crack at one of these. But it's the thing, it's a Bristol aeroplane. It's local to me, and yep, absolutely. I mean, yeah, I'm chuffed that this is being done. So yeah, I am slightly biased on several levels, but oh my goodness me! And also, the only previous kit of this in 48 scale was the old Impact kit from the mid to late 60s. So very good kit for its time, and in fact, the Impact kit has been recycled down the decades by Pyro, Lifelike, and Lindbergh. I do declare. But of course, there's room for a new toolkit, and I'm in.
You're
in. Excellent.
I'm hoping I can manage the rigging.
You can do the rigging, and we're just going to rattle through some of the other starter sets that they're doing. They're doing a Eurofighter Typhoon. Which I'm going to be very interested in seeing these because I've seen the Spitfire 5C they did, and it's not that much indistinguishable from the full-on regular kit. So there we go, a Eurofighter Typhoon, a 109 F4, which fingers crossed it will be a platform that you can slap a load of color schemes on, and also. We were talking about the bankers. Of course, you're going to do a starter set P51D Mustang.
Yeah. Because you ain't going to catch a cold.
Yeah, Drew, I got to go. I just got to split a second because I can smell my potatoes in the kitchen boiling over. So I'll be back in a sec.
Anyway,
sorry about
that. Only John would have potatoes boiling in the kitchen while he's doing a live stream. And then have to run away. But yeah, it's so far the announcements we have from Airfix this year are a variety of really interesting a starter set Mustang is a no-brainer, really, isn't it? I would have perhaps liked the Typhoon to have been a full-up kit. I think it could stand being a full-up kit from Airfix, but see what it looks like when it comes out.
Yeah, Well, unfortunately, folks, we haven't got time to actually, we have got time to have a quick run through. Everybody's tuned in tonight. So hold on to your horses. Say hello to Damien Mullen, who was the first to join us this evening. Peter Oxley, Phil, Dave Fleming. Hello, Dave. Hobby Time, Lox9, Colin Strachan, Nick Brown, Dave Swindle, Jerry Doyle, Alan Richardson, John Huston, Lee Suter, Dave Coward, Theron Hampton, Rory's modelling page, Michael Hooverling, Greg Woodbridge, Craig Sargent, Jared, Mike Williams, hello Mike, Rob Suto, Wayne Beatty, Simon James Colley, Kev Tinker, Stan Codling, Shane Weir, good day Shane, Rob Monfee, who says hello there. Sorry, I can hear that in kind of like Alec Guinness voice go, hello there. Powell Kupovic, Dougal McWoogle, Christopher Joseph Buchholz, Ophir Cohen, Ian Goldstraw, Stephen Pryor, Kevin M. Scrolls down. Steve Moores, Matthew Walker, Spencer Pollard, I've heard of him. Yoafa Fretty, Peter Oxley, Toby Target, who says, hey, from Jersey, USA. Hello, back at you, Jersey. I think we've nailed everybody there at the moment. Jim Altergott, hello Jim. Simon Lewis, 9 Bolts. 9 Bolts says, good to see you back, Drew. Sorry to hear you've been ill. Hope you both stay healthy from now on.
That would be the ideal.
That's the plan.
That'd be the ideal way going forward, wouldn't it?
Yeah. And Mike and Penn Richardson, who say, get well, Drew. We got to chat to Spencer at the Bolton show about cheap beer, burgers and fries, a little bit of modelling. His A4 is gorgeous, good show, lots of great models and people. Got to say a big personal thanks to Mike and Penn for their homebrew beer that they gave me at Christmas. Sadly, Drew, there's none left for you. But that's because you said to me, I might come round in the early new year. So I kept a load of beer back for you. You didn't show up, mate. So
would you like a visit on Tuesday?
I can't do this Tuesday. Sorry.
That's the end of that.
Sorry about that. No, I can't do this Tuesday.
On Tuesday.
Right. Okay. I'll warn Cardiff. Anyway, that's just to say thank you to everybody who tuned in tonight. It's great to be back doing these live shows again after the Christmas hiatus. I might pop in a little pop-up live at some stage, but failing that, fingers crossed, we'll be back next Sunday, all depending on what Storm Isha decides to do this evening. Don't always like at your end, but
it's a bit blowy.
It's a little bit blowy. And I went out for a walk this afternoon, and I was halfway through walking up to my mum's. Hello, Mum. And suddenly the weather just changed. You suddenly felt the wind pick up. And I was just like, I won't be staying that long.
Well, I heard one of my recycling bins go over earlier and just went, do you know what?
Yep.
We'll pick up the pieces tomorrow because there's nothing we're going to do tonight that's going to make it any better. So
I'm just going to say a quick hello to Tim Maunder as well. Tim, I will give you a ring at some stage. So on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we will leave you to your Sunday evening.
Excuse me.
That's all right. And hopefully we'll shovel some more modelling content your way on the Facebook page. Until then, it just remains for me to say thank you for watching. Stay safe, stay out of trouble, and we'll see you very, very soon. AN on. Bye for now.